What do you want me to add?
I don't know if we need to add any. I see Kenneth DeLapse in there. Bam, we're live. I see Kenneth DeLapse in there. I mean, I feel like we used to. I don't know why I thought of it today. I was like, do we need more wrenches? I guess Janelle Winston could be. Yeah. How about Janelle Winston or Matt Burns?
All right. I'll do both.
I don't think we need them. We don't have any issues in there. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're getting a little crazy these days, so,
That's fine. I'm okay with crazy.
Okay.
Bam, we're live. J.R. Howell, hanging out with the Exerciser. Get 20% off. Welcome to the show. Wait, are there people watching?
I think so. Maybe it just hasn't updated yet.
Isn't that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
J.R. Howell, an HWPO shirt representing Crash Crucible, CrossFit Crash. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
J.R. Howell, an HWPO shirt representing Crash Crucible, CrossFit Crash. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
J.R. Howell, could you guys hear all that?
Yeah. I was really confused for a second.
Okay, take two. What's up, JR?
What's up?
20% off the Exerciser for you, CrossFit 20. Like you have time to fucking spend 15 minutes in the shower pumping your dick up, for crying out loud. Imagine
he doesn't need it, dude.
Caleb didn't even miss a beat. John Young from JY Barbell and every podcast in the world saves his best shit for here. Caleb Beaver. Is Tyler coming on? I gave him a pity invite.
JR, I did the worst one first.
What's the worst one? They're all horrible.
Workout one.
They're all good, dude. They're all good workouts. It's just the ones.
Yeah.
It's just the ones that you like or don't like.
Yeah, it's the worst one for me.
I have an idea. How about you tell us what you're talking about?
The first workout one of the Crash Crucible qualifier. It's the first one that I did. I'm gonna do 5 tomorrow.
When does the Crash Crucible qualifier start?
It has started. It has begun.
And when's it close?
Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This
my
Monday.
God.
Holy shit, the window is so small, JR.
It's 4 days for 5 workouts.
Today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it started yesterday?
Started yesterday at 8 a.m. Yep.
Okay. And are there invites also?
Yep. There have been lots of invites from individual games athletes, current and former, as well as semifinalists from this past year, down to I think I went down to about 30th.
Who's the shittiest athlete you've invited? What's the lowest bar?
Me.
Well, they're all great.
Oh, did you invite John Young?
No, he
Oh.
If we're gonna say John Young, then me, because I signed up for it.
Let me see JR's face when I ask him this next question. Hold on, let me make him big.
No. Put me back. I like being there. All you can see is my shirt.
Put him back behind the dig pump. Would you invite Bryson Del Monte? Is he good enough to get an invite?
No, invited athletes are. I had to be kind of like stern about this, but like previous podium finishers at Crucible, there are a couple of those exceptions, but otherwise it's like this year's performance, or if you were a past games individual. So, like for instance, Sam Stewart is coming from across the pond to do it because he was an individual games athlete.
Wow,
he's coming from Ireland, I think that's really cool. That
Me too. And he's been on the show. He's legit.
Yeah. So like there are some athletes like that. Like Freya's coming. And she didn't make it to the games this past year, but
Freya Moosbrugger.
She was kind of victim of one of those big penalties too. But like she's obviously a really good athlete.
A victim.
Did I say that? She was the recipient of a penalty. How about that? Sorry. But yeah,
censorship for all the guests on the show. Censorship.
The women's field is incredible, and this is the first year that I'll say, even with the likes of Colton and Taylor and like all the guys that are coming, the female field is superior for sure.
Wow.
The female field is really, really good. Yeah.
October 11th through the 13th. I am honored to say the Sevon Podcast will be broadcasting the Crash Crucible this year with the dream team, hopefully, of John Young and Bill Grunler as the hosts, and Will Brandstetter running the production, with Patrick Rios doing a behind the scenes, psychedelic behind the scenes, and Matt Souza on the camera, the one camera shoot. Go ahead, JR. October 11th to the 13th.
Yeah, I was just bragging about the females. I'm just really excited to have a lot of them coming. There's still a couple more that are supposed to be letting me know pretty soon that are big names. So hopefully they're coming too.
How about any brood athletes? Will we see a Fee Sagafi? Go ahead, unmute yourself. Go ahead, speak freely, JR. Get ready, John. I'm going to ask you the big question. How about Fee Sagafi, JR? Any brood athletes coming?
Nothing.
Oh, that mic's not even working. JR can't even hear us. JR is down.
Classic. Right when the important questions happen.
He's just looking at his microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the biggest podcast in the CrossFit space, featuring JR Howell in his HWPO shirt.
He looks handsome.
John, when you guys did the broadcast from the vendor village and it was closed, did you guys get kicked out of there?
No, we just asked somebody if it's cool if we're the last ones to leave and the first ones there.
Every morning.
Yep.
And were you guys the first ones there every morning?
Yep.
Wow, that must have been cool. And that place really filled up. If you just based on your just rudimentary knowledge of a vendor village, would you say vendor village was a success at the games?
Yeah, I think so. I think the worst part was it was really hard to be let in. The security was just outrageous. Everywhere you went, the security was outrageous. But other than that, it was filled up the most of the time. Yeah.
By success, this is what I mean. Do you think that the vendors got what they wanted? Because that's that is what's most important. You want the vendors who pay money to be there, to have the place fill up.
Yeah, no, the place was filled pretty much 24/7.
Right.
Do you think
go ahead, Caleb.
Do you think the security was so tight because of the Trump assassination attempt?
I don't think those two are correlated, but maybe.
Just wondering.
Security, and then at night, how long would they let you stay in there after it closed?
I mean, me and Brian were there until like 11.
Spin.
Yeah. On that Thursday, but that was the only time we were there that late. I think. No, Farrington Field, we were there that late. We didn't. I mean, I didn't get home until midnight.
You shut that place down too? Were you guys broadcasting from Farrington?
No, we were broadcasting from Vendor Village, but of the Farrington event. So that was.
They let you stay in Vendor Village till midnight?
Yeah, I mean, there was like one cop there, but like whatever, guard for the place.
Why? Wow, that's incredible. That's dedication. JR. Hi. I can't hear you. You can hear us? Okay, well, we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Nope, still can't hear you.
No, still muted. I think he's muted himself.
Try now.
There you go.
Hi, JR.
Hey.
There we go.
Are you back?
There.
Good?
Yeah, I think I'm good. Sorry, rookie.
Yeah, tap your mic. I want to see if it's your mic working.
It came disconnected. That's why it kicked me off. Do you want me to try to reconnect it?
No, it's good. Pull the mic up to your mouth real quick and talk.
The mic's not working.
Oh, it is working.
Oh, it is.
It is working.
Your mic is working.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I took my headphones off, so.
When Colton Mertens' mom died, what I believe was 2 days before he competed against one of the greatest CrossFitters who's ever lived, Justin Medeiros. In Justin Medeiros' garage, in front of the entire CrossFit community this year. Would it have been justified if he pulled out, JR?
I would have completely understood.
John?
Yeah, same.
Completely, right?
Yep.
And he did not pull out for whatever reason. And he went there and he competed against Justin. And he lost to Justin, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we broke down his stats, or someone did. We looked at his rowing time, transition time. We looked at all that stuff.
Yes.
And I remember one of the shocks is that he actually was faster than Justin on the rower.
Yeah, and he tripped on one of his double unders, so it made like his transition time slower, and then he could never get it back.
Did you ever hear one person say he didn't win because his mom died?
No.
Just one. Come on, just one.
No, I mean after that day, I didn't even hear anybody talk about it.
JR, did you hear anyone make that excuse for him?
No excuse or reason.
Ever?
No.
James Sprague won the CrossFit Games this year. The CrossFit Games are the test to crown the fittest in the world. Huge component of the CrossFit Games are the unknown and the unknowable. It always has been. Every year there's been crazy shit that happened. I remember Valerie Voboril in 2009 or 2009 was coming down the hill at Aromas, and there was an opening between the bleachers, and she missed the opening and ran underneath the bleach. No, I don't think it was her. Someone did. Maybe it was her. Someone ran underneath the bleachers and got fucking knocked out. Jason Khalipa fainted. Collapsed like Taylor Self. Wham! Went to his fucking a 3/4 squat and fell on his back like a statue. The event is the event. I'm not saying it's fucking Hunger Games. But the event is the event. And I ask you guys this question with all of that outline, with all of that backstory, all of the precedents, we have with Colton Mertens, and with the fact that the games are the games. You show up there and do the workouts. Let me ask you this: if we wouldn't have known that those two workouts were originally scheduled, it would have just been a 10 event workout, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, so I'll ask you this, and I'll start with you, JR. Do you think that James Sprague has earned the title for fittest man on planet Earth?
Yeah.
Unequivocally.
Yeah. I mean, me and Taylor broke everything down yesterday. We just
on Shut Up and Scribble.
Right. We just looked at the 10 events that were performed. We broke down all the geeky stuff, all the monostructural, all the weightlifting, all the gymnastics, and then we went back through and we talked about what component of each workout mattered the most from our vantage point. And sure, there were things that we would call imbalances. There were things that we would call biases, and there usually are. It wasn't the total test. We know that. To your point, if we didn't know that, then we can just say, yeah, he earned it, and this is what we think about the programming, and then we could just go back and forth about it. But like I told John this the other day, at the end of the day, James finished first, and everyone that was out there competing against him or competing next to him or just working out next to him, if you ask them and they say, I wasn't actually competing, I was just there. They had 10 chances to beat him and they didn't. They had 10 chances. They had 10 chances to take it from him and they didn't do it. So
what place was he in going into the final event?
Second.
And he in how many points or the final two events? How many points was he behind first place?
Like
30.
20 or 30.
And John, let me ask you the same question. Has James Sprague earned the title for fittest man on planet Earth?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. I think he was the best one at the test that was given to those that competed. And the winner of that test is crowned the fittest man on earth. So absolutely.
And would you say that if you looked at all the CrossFit games in the past, is there anywhere that you would rank this with these 10 workouts in terms of balance and competency of picking the fittest man alive? Because we had Chris Spieler on the podium one year. That was weird.
Sure. And like JR said, that it had its biases. I personally think it's one of the most unbalanced games there has ever been.
Is it the most though? Is it the most unbalanced?
I think we can break it down and figure that out. We just haven't yet. And that would take like
Okay.
a lot of stats to really look at every movement and every games and see which there could be one games that was so biased towards squatting that we just don't bring up. You know, I know 2017 was a lot of squatting, 2018, 2015 was a lot of pulling. Were those more unbalanced than this one towards cardio, towards engine, aerobic? I don't know. We'd have to break that down.
Well, there's a reason. Well, there's a reason why we don't know if there was, and there's a reason why we don't bring it up. Because for 9 years, at least, the same male
we got bailed out, right?
It didn't
2015 was
matter.
Ben Smith, but you're 100% right. We've gotten bailed out by Matt, Rich, and Tia, where those questions aren't asked. But I also want to say this: like maybe Dallin beats James 9 games out of 10. He didn't on this one, and to me, James Sprague is like the 2007 Giants. Like they weren't supposed to win. Nobody thought they were going to win, but they did. And they are the best football team in the world in that moment. And that's how I feel about James. He's the 2007 Giants.
Caller, hi.
John Young, you're fully tarded.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
I just have to say, dude, James beat Dallin at 135 thrusters and bar muscle ups. He beat him in that workout. James consistently outperformed Dallin in workouts across the weekend, and I don't think you can say it is by far the most unbalanced games. That I don't necessarily agree with.
Then give me the most unbalanced games, Taylor.
I think, what was it, was it last year or the year before last, where every workout had fucking upper body pulling? And then 2017, they squatted in 6 different workouts. There were like 550 squats in 2017.
Taylor, are you hearing, and John didn't say it, but it was a slight implication that he thinks that Dallin is better than James? Is that what you heard? And so you're coming to James?
Well, he didn't imply it. He didn't imply it. He definitely said 9 out of 10 games Dallin wins. And I would say maybe more like, I would say honestly 100% of the time James wins, because, or maybe it's 50% where they're 1-to-1. Last year Dallin beat James at the games, and this year James beat Dallin. But I also think you can't just look at the test of fitness or the test of the fittest on earth as just a physical test. It is also a mental test, psychological tolerance, so to speak.
Yep.
And James was able to stay composed the entire weekend and outperform consistently everyone else. And maybe that has to do with his faith, his conviction. But I think what's between the ears also plays a massive role. And I would argue that there's not a single person on the planet that is mentally, or at least not a single CrossFitter amongst those who competed, that are as mentally tough as he is.
Fair enough. I like it. Thank you, Taylor.
All right, I'll go fuck myself.
Love you. Bye. Kill Taylor tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kill Taylor tomorrow morning. The best show on the internet, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Going to you, JR, what were we talking about? The regarding James Sprague. Well, I lost where we were, but let me also bring this up. There might be someone who would say, hey, he's not the fittest guy on the planet. And I think that the argument, because I was very careful how I asked the question, did he earn it? And then the other question would be, is he the fittest guy on the planet? And then but let's not forget, didn't Medeiros win the games without winning a single event?
Yes, he won the 2022 games. He won one event in 2021.
Right, the final. Yeah.
And so it would be easy to argue that at any time you could find a guy on the planet that could beat Justin Medeiros at any one workout. But
yeah, I mean, Vellner won more workouts against him than he won against Vellner, and I mean, and during that time, I'm consistent with saying, like, I think Justin's earned the title fittest man in the world. He's the fittest man in the world. I still think Vellner is fitter than him, but he doesn't execute on game day. Therefore, Justin is the fittest man in the world.
Is it that he doesn't execute on game day, or is it that Vellner's breadth, that Justin truly is the fittest man in the world because he has a greater breadth of skills and capacity over a broader modalities?
I mean, I think it can be a combination of the two. Other than swimming, I think Vellner's better at more things than Justin is better at Vellner. But he takes such a big hole in event one, it just didn't matter. Or Vellner didn't execute on a handstand walking workout, which he should have. Like, there were multiple things in 2021 and 2022 where Vellner just didn't execute. And he has some event that didn't go well he did not perform to the best of his abilities. And Justin always does. Justin is amazing at executing. And therefore, Justin is the fittest man in the world, even though I could think that Vellner is still better, but Vellner doesn't execute on game day as well as Justin does. You know, I don't think James Sprague has ever beaten Dallin in a heavy thruster workout until that heavy thruster workout. Right?
That wasn't heavy.
Well, 135 thrusters. So I'm just going to say 135 thrusters. A thruster workout. We'll just say that. And Dallin has said repeatedly, this is the first time James has ever beaten me in 9 years. So when Taylor can call in and say they're 1-1, James has never beaten Dallin in 9 years. But the CrossFit Games in 2024, he absolutely did. Yes, he earned the title of the fittest man in the world. He is the fittest man in the world. I don't know why people are getting upset about me saying, I'm literally agreeing with them. Next year, if you don't think James is going to repeat next year, then you should stop talking and being mad at me for saying what I'm saying. I'm literally agreeing with you, but saying I think someone's better. They did not execute as well as James did on game day. Fair to say, JR?
Well, you know how I feel about that word, but it's reasonable to say.
And I know this is
John,
incredible.
you gotta stay out of there, dude. Stay out of there. It's liberating. All I see is you four.
It's so dumb.
In the live call-in. Stay out of there. Stay out of there, dude.
You're really right. It's just frustrating that people can be closed-minded with the biggest opinions. And I don't think those people are necessarily wrong half the time, but it's just.
What did you see? You saw something in the chat? You saw something in the chat? Oh, yeah. Hold on one second, caller. Scott Gundram, JR, can my wife and I drop into your gym tomorrow?
Absolutely. What time are you going to be there? I'll be there at 8, 9, and 10.
Caller, hi. Did you wait? Oh, caller, hold on. Did
on
you
a
see
Saturday?
Something? Did you see something in the chat, Mr. Young?
No, JR's right. I'm not as wise as JR is.
Say it.
Okay. Caller, hi.
John, it takes a real man to admit that, dude. So good on you. Good on you. Hey, John.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? But hey, John, I think the reason people may be upset with you, now you're on every podcast known to man, so maybe I've missed something since the games, but as soon as James won last week, you said that he won the CrossFit Games, but he's not the fittest man on earth, or something to that effect. So that's the last thing I heard you say about the situation with James winning the CrossFit Games. But tonight you're saying, yes, he is the fittest man on earth. He earned it, so on and so forth.
Well, no. He's saying the
No,
question
no.
was,
He's
did he earn?
absolutely right. I did say that. That was
But
my
the
very
question
first
tonight-
reaction.
Right, but the question tonight was, did he earn the title fittest man on earth, which is different than is he the fittest man on earth? There's an important distinction there. And that's where I was kind of going with it. Was Justin Medeiros earned the fittest man on earth also twice, but was he the fittest man on earth? And I think John has some issues with that, because John is saying when Medeiros won, Vellner was the fittest man on earth, and he's being consistent saying, if I hear him right, James Sprague's earned the title fittest man on earth, but he might not be the fittest man on earth because 9 out of 10 times Dallin Pepper puts it to him.
Yeah.
And he's got data to back it up.
I totally agree with all that.
Yeah, and he's got data to back it up.
I agree with all that.
But
And
I
John,
also
I'm not
think what
trying to
Taylor said is profound too. It's like, hey, it is a mental game, 100%. It'd be stupid not to think it is. And James' mental game is fucking on point. And it really is on point. It shows.
It is, absolutely. He's impressive, especially such a young man, him and Dallin. But I think Taylor was using his exercise here, got all excited and decided to call in and just yell at John like he always does. But yeah, no, John, I just wanted to say, I think that's why maybe people might be getting, upset. It's like, wait a second, you said this and then you said that. But, it's been a week.
They call him John Hinshaw Young in the hood.
Please stop. Please stop.
Oh
Whoa.
my God.
Whoa,
Low,
dude.
show's over. 1999 show's over. Holy.
No, you're right.
Anyway.
You're right. I definitely said that, and I feel like I feel like I did not word it properly, because I 100% said that, and that was my initial reaction, and I should have kind of explained what I meant by that, because what Sevon is saying, or
It's
what
a fair reaction,
is exactly
dude. It's
what
a fair
I
reaction.
mean by
It is
that.
a fair
But I
reaction.
did not
Totally
say
fair.
fittest man in the world. I didn't say that title, which I think is, it's a big title, right?
Hey, it's
Right,
chaos.
right,
It's
right.
pure chaos. Adler wasn't there. The event was fucking emotional fucking chaos. The two of the workouts were in and then out. And then, I mean, so John's, we wouldn't bring it up if John wasn't standing on strong ground.
Absolutely. We all say stuff in the heat of the moment, given whatever moment. And then 3 days later, maybe 3 hours later, you're like, oh, crap. Maybe that wasn't the right way to word something. Maybe that wasn't the right thing to say. But, yeah, after you unpack it a little bit like you guys have, I think it's perfectly said. I think the point is I think it stands 100%.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right. See you guys.
Brother
Thank
with
you.
an A. Okay. Barry McCockiner, Esquire, JR's new microphone fund. No, he's good, but thank you. I'll take the money anyway. And Anthony TPA, congratulations, JR, for getting Hopper back in it. Hold on.
I will not. Let me. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Congratulate Jason for his finish. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with his coach, Jake. It has. I mean, and I'm very firm on this. Like, say it whenever someone tells me in person or whenever someone on the internet says it. But to me, the only one that did the work is Jason. That's it for a full year. He reaped what he sowed. That's it. There are people along the way that help. I mean, like, what? You just scribble some stuff on a whiteboard and say, here, do this, dude. Like, he's the one that decides to do it. He's the one that has the intention to do it. He's the one that does it and doesn't question it. He's the one that goes to bed at 9 o'clock and does an hour of mobility every night that no one else does. He's the guy that eats good. He did it. Just him. That's
Yeah,
it.
I want to thank Jason for making JR and Jake look so good.
I'll take
That-
some credit. If I wouldn't have thrown that quarterfinals event at Crash Sevon podcast, then Hopper's confidence wouldn't have skyrocketed. He'd have been below the cut line. Caller, hi. Go ahead, JR. Wait, hold on, caller. Hold on. Go ahead, JR.
No, yeah, I was going to say, I do think that everybody got a taste. Everyone got an appetizer, if you will, of the kind of fitness that he had coming into the competitive season. No one saw those workouts for quarterfinals and thought he even had a chance to beat those guys. And it should have been a wake up call to everyone.
Caller, hi.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I like how you cleared your throat. You better say something important with the throat clear like that.
I just wanted to make sure my voice didn't crack on the YouTubes. Okay, to the James Sprague thing. I genuinely believe that James Sprague is the fittest man on earth because he was the only one that seemed entirely unfazed by what transpired over the weekend. Where other athletes, it seemed like during certain events that I thought they would have been good at, they kind of faltered. Even in James Sprague, after that final event, you know, the on the floor girl or whatever asked him, you know, hey, it's been a challenging weekend. How did you manage everything? And his instinct was to bring up the hip injury that he had earlier in the year and completely bulldoze over, you know, everything that had happened this weekend. And it just seemed like he was not, you know, encumbered by everything that had happened, like mentally, where other athletes really seemed to be wearing it. It seemed like he succeeded because he just, I don't know, was not fazed.
How about, let me tell you someone who was phased clearly was Patrick Vellner. And in that one event, he laid out Lazar's shirt. And then I think Vellner won that event and then picked it up at the end and was like, yo. So like he used it. You know what I mean? And I spoke to another athlete who seemed very calm. And I said, hey, what's up with you? How are you staying so calm? He's like, I have it fucking sequestered in a little corner of my brain. And at 3, 2, 1, go, I let it out.
Yeah. And I mean,
so I'm just arguing back a little bit with like, hey, maybe it could be used also. Like for all we know, Sprague was using it. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, okay, now.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to say that like he was, you know, uncaring or
he's
anything.
not a psycho. You're not saying he's a psychopath.
No. And he, you know, again, may have just kind of rose to the occasion, but, you know, as a spectator, is somebody who like listened to other people speak about it and kind of saw some of the emotions come out of the team athletes and some of the other athletes that they had interviewed, you know, kind of throughout the weekend. He was the one that seemed like it was not playing as big a role in his like preparation for each event, you know. And maybe that's not fair to say.
No,
you know,
it's
I'm
fair.
not inside his head. That's just,
it's fair. It's fair. It's your observation.
Yeah, I definitely think it played a part
That's it.
for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Why have all of a sudden all these shows people are calling into? It's not just this show, right? People are now like calling into shows. Like on the Spin Show, people are calling in now, right?
It's just
Seems
all
that
women
way.
on the Spin Show.
I was gonna say they got a bunch of chicks though.
You guys got a bunch of beaver calling in?
That's how you want to word it. Sure.
Damn, that's kind of
What do you
nice,
mean?
huh?
Caller, hi.
Hey, what's happening? It's Blade.
Blade, what's up, dude?
Blade.
Hey, so calling to talk about the whole James thing. Hop on this real quick. So as far as people talking about an asterisk, I was actually on the forefront of it. I was comparing this. I was like, which one's a bigger asterisk, this one or 2020? But if you run it back, 2019, 1,000 people got cut after like the first whatever events. 2020, COVID. 2021, Frazier wasn't in. Like there's an asterisk no matter what. Somebody's judge screwed him over. Some cuts were weird. Wrong place, cut time, whatever. And we've all, well, I don't know if we've all had this experience, but if you ever raced somebody and they said, oh, I wasn't ready, my shoe wasn't tied. So then you let them tie their shoes, you let them warm up and you beat them again and they have an excuse. That's how James has to feel because he was bodying everybody and then goes into the last event with the most, oh no, James is in trouble event. It was literally a workout that you could have drawn to try to program him out of the games. And what'd he do? He went and he executed. He made it happen. He mic dropped and moonwalked off the stage with a gold medal.
80s baby talking moonwalk.
You feel me? So now anybody that says, oh yeah, but James ain't the fittest on earth, that's that same person that's like, oh wait, my shoe wasn't tied. Let's run it back again. And then you run it back and he still beats you.
Hey,
and so
you're right, Blade. I never thought of it like that. You're right. That we believed how great Fraser was, so we never put an asterisk by 2020. But truly, it does deserve an asterisk. But we don't do it because we know he's the best. And so
Right.
you're right. I'm feeling you on this. This is good.
Yeah. So all I have to say is like James Sprague executed in a workout that was almost unexecutionable. Yes, I said executionable to him. And he still made it happen against some of the top dogs that we would consider would crush him in that workout. And so if that's not a time to give him his flowers, then I don't know what he could do.
All right. Fair enough.
All
Good
right, man.
point.
Appreciate it,
Strong
man.
point.
It's all love, baby.
Yep. Lots of love for James Sprague tonight. John, when Blade says that, is he referencing the final workout?
Yeah, the final two events. And James's 5th and 4th on those two events, I think is the greatest one-person performance in the whole entire games. Better than Ricky's mile and sprint. Better I think it's better than Hatfield's first in the same events. I think from a single person performance on what we would have thought they would have done to what they did, I think James's last two events were the best in the entire games.
Caller, hi.
Hey, so I got a question. So I agree with John on the whole Pat Vellner versus Madero situation, and that Pat probably capacity-wise is more fit than Madero's. And the reason that Pat lost the games is because of his inability to execute on certain events and the fact that the guy can't swim. But what I think is an interesting thing is that I think you can argue that if you can't access that fitness that you have and your ability to execute in workouts, you can argue that that fitness doesn't exist, if that makes sense.
I do, but I think there's a big difference between Pat not being able to swim and not being able to execute. I think there's a world of difference. Pat not being able to swim means he's not the fittest. Pat not being able to execute means that, like, goes back to what you were saying, access it in a crowd on a specific day at a specific time.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have brought up swimming there, but more so in his other workouts that he doesn't execute at.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like what? I mean, he's great at everything. I mean, really, there's a swimming hole.
Yeah, but I do feel like there's workouts where he just doesn't live up to his ability, that at least that we think that he has. And I think if you can't do that on a moment's notice, then I think you can argue that that fitness actually doesn't exist. And I know that in the fans' mind, we're like, oh, well, he's better than that. He can do more than that. But if you can't access it at a moment's notice, like I said, I think you can argue that that fitness doesn't exist necessarily because it's not reality.
I think a good example of this for people who are back in the day is Neil Maddox. Jason Khalipa used to say Neil Maddox would beat him in like 85% of workouts, but then when it got to the games, it never happened like that. And I think that speaks to what this guy's saying.
All right, caller, thank you.
Thank you.
So here's the big bomb, right? And this gets down to the mental space. James is the champion, earn the money, earn the spotlight, but it's not the fittest on earth because it wasn't a complete test with all the athletes. So thank you for bringing it home. So my argument would be the other athletes dropped out because they weren't mentally fit enough to compete. That's my argument. They didn't have the fucking capacity to compete. They weren't capable of competing. They had an injury. Those athletes that didn't compete had an injury. They had a mental injury. And because they had a mental injury, they pulled out. Those athletes had a mental injury. And that was that. And so that I'm gonna just chalk that up as injured. And the number of tests, that I'm gonna chalk that up to the unknowable part. There's been other games where weird shit has happened, like with the broad jump. There's been some weird things that have happened. The baseball toss, the L sit, like adding in some weird events. Thoughts on that? That's the controversial one. That's the one. Like, did Adler pull out because of a mental injury?
I agree with you. They chose not to take the test. They came there to compete, and then something traumatic happened. And
Do you
then they
believe
were
that there's a thought that comes before you pull out? It's inspired by a thought, the action of the body.
How do you mean?
Meaning he had something was going on in his head that he spun up a story that made it so he couldn't compete. Ricky injured his ankle, and I'm sure he wanted to spin up a story thinking of why he couldn't compete.
And Roman was hurt.
I'm sure Roman spun up a story on why he couldn't compete, but then they overcame those stories and they took the floor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that.
And that's okay. I'm not passing judgment on them. That's on them. But I don't think that makes it so. If you have a mental injury, then you have a mental injury. Caller, hi.
I was having this discussion with my friends, and if these athletes thought 100% in their brains that they could win, do you think they would pull out?
JR, you want to field that one? That one's tough.
Yeah, that's tough because of the 100% thing. I don't know that there are many people that 100% believe that they're going to win. I think the idea that most of them don't have doubt or a lot of doubt is not very reasonable. But to his point, the more belief, faith, conviction, whatever word you want to use, that they have in their ability to win, I'm sure could play a role in whether or not they chose to stay on the floor or not. And I don't think I really agree. Maybe it's just with the wording of incapable of or couldn't versus chose not to, that it was a choice that they could have, but they chose not to.
What do you think? What do you think, caller?
I think that there's people that just like grab for anything they can to make an excuse to not do something hard.
Yeah, but these people aren't those
think
people.
all of these people are probably the best people at doing hard things in the world. I don't think that's the case. I
want to tell you this though, real quick before you finish on. Caller, that thought went through my mind too, that the weekend is so daunting that if one crack came in, you know, like that happens in our own lives. Like you're like power's out at the office and you think you're not going. And then 2 minutes later you get a call. Nope, we got the power back on. And you're like, fuck, I was so already like planning my day.
Or like
and
two inches of snow fell and I'm just gonna shut the office down now.
Yeah, but then you have to go in. So it could have been a break like that fucked them up, right? Too, like for a second they thought it was over and they went and they exhaled and they couldn't get back up. So I see what you mean. It's not as cut and dry is where John and I were taking it. Go ahead, John. What were you gonna say? These people are used to doing the toughest shit in the world.
I think, and it's like to the point of don't think they can win. Like what JR said, unless you're Tia, like there's only 5 guys that are really in the running to win it, right? And I say that with James not being one of the guys that I'm thinking of, but like everybody does not. If you're out of the top 10, if you're used to being out of the top 10, you are not thinking that you're going to win the games. And so the people that pulled out, like I think that they think in their heads, and I don't want to speak for them, but like this was the best way to honor Lazar, whether we agree with that or not. And I know where Sevon stands. I know where I stand, but I feel like they think this is the best way. Lazar just died. I'm not competing and acting like nothing happened. And that's what they're telling themselves. And that's why they chose not to compete. However you want to label that, it's still their choice not to compete. And I think the people who chose to compete, like what Sevon's been saying, like they have the conviction to still go out there and compete.
And like, hey, dude, if it was the Hunger Games, if only the winner survives and everyone else dies, they don't pull out. So that's the other side of it, right? There is a world where those guys don't pull out. You know, if Laura's guaranteed to win and the prize money's $10 million, she doesn't pull out.
I also think that's true. You know what I mean? If it's like that, for sure.
Yeah, that's my opinion. All right, caller. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me see if there's any more. And then I got another question for you guys about James. James is a champion, subjectively speaking. Doesn't get much better than that, right? Incredible role model for the sport. A big smile on his face. Very approachable, loving, hugging. He's a man of the people. I don't think we've had a champion like this since. I mean, I want to say Froning.
Different ways, but I would say Ben Smith.
Sure,
I think Ben Smith's a man of the people.
Sure, he is. And
different
Ben
personalities.
Smith is, Ben Smith is an interesting character. He's kind of like ripening into this like legend, right? He won the games, everyone forgot about him, and then now he's kind of like re-emerging as this fucking like kind of legend, godfather-y figure in the sport.
I think he is one.
I think James is going to be wonderful for the sport. Can you bring up the leaderboard?
Yep.
Anthony TPA, JR, your leadership led him to do that hard work. Can you accept that, JR?
I disagree with that.
What do you think? JR's not a leader?
I'm gonna let JR talk.
I want to show you three guys here who are on this list: James Sprague, Dallin Pepper, and Jason Hopper. And the promise for the sport in the future with these three guys at the helm is extremely promising. If we can keep these guys healthy and invigorated and supported and loved, we have a real amazing next 5 to 10 years of just really wild competition between three and watching them grow up and become full fucking fledged monsters. We're going to have some, it's going to be a new era. It is going to be something that the sport kind of has never seen before, at least in the men's division, in the women's division too. We are going to see some crazy wrestling for placement. I think that there's next year going into the games, there's no doubt that everyone's going to be like, okay, who's going to win the games? Jason Hopper, Dallin Pepper, or James Sprague? And then, of course, Ricky said he's coming back, and we have the huge question mark around Ricky because of his injury. I think we have a tremendous future ahead of us if we can keep the games afloat. If people start being realistic of what the games really are in terms of that it is an absolute fringe sport, that it presents much larger than life than it really is, and that people respect it for what it is and don't put it on the pedestal that it's not. John, what do you see in the future of the sport with these characters, with what we're looking at?
I mean, I see an open field.
Charismatic young men, right? Powerhouses, right?
I mean, and Velner and Fikowski, if they want to come back, like they're still in there as well. I think as long as they want to be there, they're going to be in the top 10 until they don't want to be. I really feel that way. Quant, you never know what you're going to get. He's kind of a wild card, will always remain a wild card. Justin will always be the 7th best at everything. And then Ricky, Jeff, and Roman, I think could win on any given year. And Dallin and Jason are trying to break into the mix of those three guys. Maybe that's next year. They beat them this year, but like I still don't see them in the light of that tier. But we will. But they're on the way. Like I just see an open field, and then you got people like Austin, and I don't know what to expect of him. If he ever got his stuff together, he'd be great. But he didn't do great at getting his stuff together this year. So, and no, I just see an open field.
Oh, and how do you see the future of the sport, JR, with these three guys, young men, developing personalities, close relationship, fierce rivalry? I mean, what Jason did with Dallin in that post-event interview was unprecedented in the sport. And for those of you who didn't see it, they asked Jason to do an interview, and he called Dallin. He said, "Hey, bring Dallin with me," even though Jason won, and he bickered with Dallin, and it was a highlight of the event for sure.
Yeah, I actually have a little story to go along with that, and I'm hopeful that both Jason and Matt wouldn't be angry with me sharing this, but I remember a few years ago when Jason went and spent a bunch of time up in Vermont with Matt and
Fraser, Matt Fraser.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
really like taking him under his wing and really just mentoring him in a lot of ways, like in the gym, out of the gym, all that kind of stuff. And I remember him coming back and saying, I talked to Dallin a lot. I think we want to train together some. I know he's like, I feel like he's going to be my rival one day, but Matt says I should be friends with him and then I shouldn't hate him. And then I shouldn't just be like, it's only like, you know, we can be pleasant with each other, but that's my enemy type mindset, because he had that mindset toward a lot of his competitors. And looking back on it, he kind of wished that he didn't.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was really, really profound. And again, it might have just been in the moment, you know, years ago, but I remembered that as like a really interesting piece of advice. You know, you would think someone that's that dominant was just like, no, that is not your friend. Those are not your friends. Like, but it was actually not. It was actually like, no, man, like life goes on, and these relationships with these people, you're going to spend more time with these people in the moments that matter the most, like than with anyone else. And like the relationships you have with your fellow competitors is important. So, I mean, I hope I don't get yelled at for that, but I just, that's what I thought of when I thought of him and Dallin after that workout.
I don't care if you get yelled at. It was a great story. Was Dallin up there training with him at the time, or was it just a conversation they had?
It was just a conversation they had. But I do remember, maybe it was before 2021 or 2021 was his first year. So it must have been before 2022. I think he went to Vermont and did like a training camp. And that's kind of where they really started to like, you know, be cool and get along well and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great story. That bodes well for both of them. Extra sloppy, Esquire. We all have the same amount of holes.
Do we though?
Might need a poll. I'm joking, Caleb. I'm joking.
Damn it.
Daniel Wynn, what happened during event 1 was the ultimate unknowable. Larry Young, no different than Laura winning last year. Oh, fucking great point. It's like Blade said, like there's asterisks all over the fucking place, right? These are the stories.
Yeah, so nobody won outright. Makes sense.
Yeah, I like the thought that he brought up as far as you can put an asterisk on any year that, you know, was not Matt, Tia, or Rich.
Well, even the one even but it's interesting is he even mentioned the 1 year Matt won though.
Well,
COVID
I
year,
guess you could, yeah,
right?
you have COVID
Yeah.
in 2019 years
Right.
too, for sure. Yeah.
Heidi Kroom, I'd like to apply to call screening position. We don't even have that technical capability.
We just answer.
I remember when we first started taking calls, Susan's like, how are we going to screen them? I'm like, we're not. Wagyu Mama Ranch. Mental fitness is a part of fitness. How can you say it isn't? Many people don't have the mental fitness and capacity, even though they have the physical attributes to win. Are they the fittest? No.
And
Like
Rich
really
Froning said that. And I think the 2014 documentary on YouTube, it just says 2014, where he goes, mental toughness is not one of the 10 traits, physical traits, but it should be. And I agree with that 100%.
And I think in the 2008 games, in the preview, I remember for Every Second Counts, I think Dave mentions, I don't think a lot of these athletes have it up here, what it takes. There's an interview with him.
And I think people get in a twist whenever I say this person is fitter than this person. But like Rich himself would say, he says there might be people fitter than me, but they're not as mentally tough as I am. And then that's what comes out in the end. And I think both of those things are true, can be true.
Let's get back to talking about Pat's holes. Extra sloppy.
Fine.
Okay. Hack Janfield. Dropping out is like being fat. Oh, this is going to be wild. Dropping out is like being fat. But that's what fat with an F, not with a PH. If you are fat, I won't treat you different or disrespect you, but it's still in your hands to change and not be fat. You dropping out is still your choice. Oh, I just like this. Sorry. Like when you break up with your girl, but don't want to go through the emotional shit, and then you find out that she cheated on you. Easy exit. Jeez Louise. You ever had a girl cheat on you, John?
Not that I know of.
Do you address it right as soon as you find out, or do you wait until the opportune time?
Oh no, I'm a fix everything. Like we need it. If there's a problem, we're figuring the problem out right now. I don't care how long it takes. I don't
Even
care
if you're in
where
the
we
middle
are.
of the CrossFit games?
We will sit in the middle of the Walmart aisle and we will figure it out, Caleb. I do not care. And it does not matter what the problem is. We are going to figure out this problem. And once it's figured out, if I'm in the wrong, we need to know why I'm in the wrong and how do I fix it? And then move on. I'm a very handle things as they happen right now. You bottle it up. That's how that's how anger resonates and more problems occur.
What if she's premenstrual?
Dude, I agree with John.
What if she's premenstrual, Caleb? What do you like? There's no talking. Like you put in 5 times 5 in the calculator and it keeps coming out 37.
Well, that's when you have to accept that 37 is the answer that day.
All right, I'm with you. All right, okay. So there's a big dose of humility at times. Okay. A world where they don't pull out. That's what she said. All right. Let's not be disrespectful. How's the baby coming?
Healthy so far.
You called BIRTHFIT yet?
We have not. No.
Jeffrey Birchfield, first call I made, we talked about
those are monkeys, I believe.
bonobo. Thank you. Bonobo greeting behavior. Okay. Should I give Pat Lang a wrench? John Young is smoking crack. That's not true. That's fucking just a lie. Wow.
It's a good picture.
It's a great picture. Chado, for some reason can't call from Canada. Because Trudeau won't let you. Regardless if you win by 1 point or 21 points or 100 points, you're the fittest on earth. No if ands or buts. Okay. On to something different. Do you guys know what this is?
No.
Okay. This is Deborah Cordner Carson. The CrossFit Games staff knew that she had some issues with the water. She had a condition that made it that they were notified of by her that she had an issue. And because she notified them transparently, I have an issue with going in the water. At the swim event, they gave her a personal escort through the entire event. This is not the only time this has happened at a swim event at the CrossFit Games. This is the standard protocol. If you have an issue in the water, that you tell them ahead of time. If you have an issue with the water, a swim event ahead of time, and you tell them, they give you an escort. There it is. Let me play it for you so you can see. So look. See that? There she's swimming. Here she is notifying the staff that she has an issue.
Dave doesn't buy it.
Yo, bitch, get in the water. As she comes ashore, she's greeted by more staff. This isn't the only time this happened. There was a Masters athlete one year that also expressed concern, and they also received an escort. At the time when this happened, I remember thinking, this is fucking nuts. If we're crowning the fittest, why should this be done? Why did she need getting talking to get in the water? Why is she getting special treatment? Now, in hindsight, I'm perfectly okay with it. Oh, sorry, phone's disconnected. Hold on, caller. Hold on. Okay, fine. Fuck you. It may be controversial, and it was recommended to by a friend that I don't bring this up. But if Lazar Jukic knew that he might have an issue in the water, should he have notified people before the event? I wonder if anyone notified anyone at CrossFit before the event, because the precedent's there 2 times at least. There's 2 videos out there. There's another video of the Masters athlete out there. And so these people out there that are saying that CrossFit doesn't care, this is insane. The second they're notified, this was notified in real time. They didn't have a pre-plan for Deborah.
I think it's slightly different.
It is. Well, we don't know if he has. We don't know if he had any issues, but we do know a year ago at the top of the Burj Khalifa, he had a collapse, and I don't know what the cause of that was, but he doesn't remember running up the last 20 floors. And so
I don't think he would bank on that happening. I don't think he would let anybody know ahead of time that, hey, this could happen. I think he probably thought it would never happen again.
Okay, hold on a second. Dude, nobody said CrossFit doesn't care. Come on. Okay, so Pat, there's endless places on the internet. I should have I took screenshots. I was going to send them to you. And there's endless people on the internet calling for Dave's firing, and it's endless. So stop with that shit. Shut the fuck up, okay? I let you win half the fights. Let me win this one. You're out of your fucking mind. Okay, sorry, John, what were you saying? I think that so say that again, John.
I'm saying I don't think that he would have thought that was a possibility of happening. Even if he say he had a heart attack or whatever, say whatever condition he had, same thing he had to Dubai, I'd say it happened again in the water, and that's why that happened. Right. I don't think he would think that was going to happen again. Because it was kind of a freak thing in the first place when it happened. He's one of the best swimmers in the field. The example you're showing is a girl that can't swim.
Well, she can swim. She did swim. She's afraid of the water.
Right.
And what you're saying is he's not afraid of the water. But what I'm saying is
probably the least afraid of the water.
I agree. And if you read Yellow Hosta's, we'll get to Yellow Hosta's post in a second. Yellow Hosta said he was winning and then swam off in the wrong direction. Did you see that post?
Yeah.
Caller, hi. I know it's a touchy subject, but if your life's on the line and
I don't think he would have let them know, hey, I need somebody watching me.
Right. I'm not saying whether he thinks he would have let them know. I'm saying, should he have let them know? You had a previous heart condition, maybe.
That's really hard to think, hey, this might happen again.
Okay.
You don't think so?
I could see why he wouldn't want to bring it up. I could definitely see why he wouldn't want to bring it up. And I get why no one wants to talk about it. But I think it's important to talk about because we have the precedent here that athletes who have come to CrossFit and say, I have issue in the water, have gotten the treatment of an
CrossFit would have accommodated for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Caller, hi.
Hey, so, it's been a week now, and still there's zero content except for a couple of podcasts that are out there. And I get it, it's a tragedy, but it's a sport. Things happen, unfortunately. I mean, don't we have to get back to what this is, the training?
Oh, sure. But what do you mean in terms of topics of shows? You think we're dragging this out too long?
No, not that it's being dragged out too long. It's the only content that's out there right now. I mean, none of the athletes are putting anything out. There's been a few on Instagram that are doing the stories, but it's like, okay, we get it. It was horrible, but I mean,
well, I've been on a few where that has not been the topic, my man. Just saying.
He didn't watch those.
I mean,
John.
maybe just my algorithm.
Right. I just like I think as we get further away from it, it feels a little more safe to talk about some of the nuanced aspects of what happened. That being said, I hear you. I hear you. Tomorrow we'll do Kill Taylor. It's no holds bar and just tearing people new assholes. 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Sounds good.
Thanks, brother.
Why so early?
I don't know. I do whatever Taylor wants. He's a fucking superstar.
Sounds good.
John, what was your time on workout one?
Hey, good evening. This is Daniel Wayne. How you doing?
Oh, hi, Daniel. Oh, Daniel, hold on one second. I don't want you to
Sure.
save. I don't want you to save John Young from answering this. Workout one. You did the swim run, John?
No, I did not do the swim run.
You mean workout one from Crash Crucible?
Yes, he's talking about Crash Crucible.
Stand by. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, so on a slightly different topic related to the games, I get it that some of these athletes make tactical decisions about where they're going to apply themselves, where they're going to maybe hold back. But watching Danny Spiegel come in last for the women on the Chad and hearing in my head, tell me you have small legs without telling me you have small legs over and over again was kind of comical. I mean, again, maybe she did that on purpose for tactical reasons, but it was kind of funny.
What you're saying is you think with that the anomaly that is Danny Spiegel that she should have won that workout.
No, only that if she plays like she did, because that's where her fitness is at, it kind of makes a mockery of her whole, if tell me you have small legs without telling me you have small legs thing, where she's talking trash but not perform. Again, maybe she did that on purpose because she knew it wasn't her event. It wasn't going to burn herself out. I don't know.
All right. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Someone in the comments said Danny Spiegel, should she have won that workout with the oomph she got in the dumper?
Which one?
The Chad?
No.
Should she have done better? No. Okay.
Chad's an aerobic workout.
Okay. And someone said she's selling stuff. What does that mean?
OnlyFans? Probably not, but I don't know.
All right. Jake Barney, I'm out. All right. Adios. Workout one, Crash Crucible. The qualifier for Crash Crucible is now. It started yesterday. It's not too late to join. If you're fucking amazing, if your name's James Sprague, feel free to call J.R. Howland.
You want to guess? You want to guess my time, J.R.?
Caller, hold on 1 second, please. The workout is 100 calorie row, 100 dumbbell snatches with 50 pounds, 100 toes to bar, 100 burpees over the erg. Anyhow, I love that. Thank you, JR. John Young's time is
28:48.
Oh man, dude. I was a lot better than that. That hurts my feelings.
I'm basing it on scores that I've already heard and seen.
I was 24:43.
Good. I was gonna say I think sub 25 would be a good goal. So that's great.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. You come out with
like
28
that?
minutes.
Okay. Would you rather me have given you a number a lot higher than I thought you did, or said 21 minutes and then you feel bad that you were 4 minutes lower?
I would rather you said 21 minutes. That would make me think
Really?
that you think high of me. Now I think you think really low of me.
No one.
You might as well just sign up now, dude. That's solid. Just sign up and do the rest.
I'm commentating. I can't.
Oh, Pool Boy says he got a 1951.
Dude, I'm signed up.
Caleb is signed up.
Caleb, have you done this one yet?
Fuck no, dude. I've been sitting on the range all day.
Blown. Oh, so I can't.
I'm gonna tell you. I took 14 minutes and 30 seconds to do the toes to bar and burpees. And that's really slow for people who don't know. That's really slow.
Caller, hi.
Hey, question for JR and John. Each year after the games, based on the programmings, we see training camps athletes in some ways overreact to the programming and start to focus on things. In the Boz years, it was the bottleneck workout. People really started to focus on that. In previous years with Dave, it was volume of just sheer volume of barbell cycling, whatever that was. And then maybe the next year they come back and go the other way. Based on this year's programming, Do you think athletes are going to go down the rabbit hole of, I need to just be better at running? And then they're going to correct and go the other way next year with no running in the games.
Great fucking question.
You want to go first, JR?
Sure. Yeah, I think this is an outlier year for a lot of different reasons, and this is one of the few years that I think a lot of them will explain their finishes based on unforeseen circumstances, not on fitness. And I think that because of that, knowing that there were 2 events that were released that they didn't get a chance to do, being able to say, hey, I didn't take the complete test with a complete field, so I really don't know where I would have finished. Hopefully, and I expect them to actually not overcorrect. I expect them to just continue as planned. Because if you look at the totality of the programming, when me and Taylor did it a couple days ago, yesterday, and we talked about this briefly, but I also think there were things taken out or substituted for because of the circumstances of the weekend and how many competitors weren't even doing it that were not originally planned as far as the workouts go. But there are, 5, 6 workouts that were determined by the monostructural elements. So, yeah, I mean, for John's the first one I think said this is the cardio games. That's how people will remember it. It's from a programming standpoint. It was not heavy at all. There was one heavy implement that mattered in the workout, and that was the clean ladder.
What about the yoke? What about the yoke?
It was light step on. It was irrelevant.
It just, even the second yoke, even though you saw some people break it, it didn't determine the outcome of the workout at all.
The year previous, they did a yoke of 660, and this was 5.5.
The dumbbell snatch at this point in the game, that's a moderate dumbbell snatch, especially for 8 reps. So all the weightlifting, all the weightlifting movements, other than the barbell on the clean ladder, were moderate at heaviest. It was probably the lightest games ever. And we know the other 2 workouts, and neither one of those had heavy elements.
Yeah, I don't think the other 2.
Question and thought that we.
Go ahead.
Sorry, the only other quick thought we had when we were talking about the game, someone was breaking it down internally at our box. If you would have said that this was called the CrossFit cardio games this year, and you would have picked a body type and certain types of athletes, I found it really impressive that you had a larger body type, that the cardio games weren't machine-based. Semifinals usually have a machine-based tendency and a slant to them. So you see the bigger athletes, a Hopper, a Pepper, a Roman do really well. If you would have said that the games would have been the cardio games, in my head, I was like Medeiros. I would have thought, and someone smaller that was good in that. Ricky, I thought Ricky would have just smashed. But to see some of these big dudes do extremely well in the cardio games was so impressive on my part.
I agree.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Some incredible events at the games this year. Some crazy memorable events. Hey, Hatfield and Wells are both competing at the Crucible?
No, Austin is not competing.
Why not?
I think he's just really
He's
focused
set on Rogue.
making Rogue, and that's it. So,
has he been invited? Will he get invited?
Yeah, we talked about it a good bit before the games. I mean, I reached out to the podium from last year, not even knowing how people were going to shake out this year, like Austin, Jack Rosema, Colton. I mean, I reached out to all the podium finishers the previous year and just asked, hey, I know you got the games, or I know you're planning on making the games and that you have other off-season competitions, but you're welcome to come back if that's something you decide to do. Ask James too. And it's crazy to think James finished 4th there last year, and now he's the fittest on earth. Now he's earned the title fittest on earth. But no, it's awesome. And I mean, he even told me back then, I think he's either getting married or he's going on his honeymoon like immediately after the games. And he was like, I don't know with all the travel and everything, but hopefully I can make Rogue. I mean, I don't think there's any question he's going to be invited to Rogue, regardless of the leaderboard scoring system that they're using now. I think anyone who finishes first at the CrossFit Games is going to get invited to Rogue.
Can James just go to Crucible and have fun, or no? Now that he's the fittest on earth, it's It's always on the line.
No, he can't come to Crucible and just think he's gonna walk through it.
No, I don't mean just walk through it, but just like not care. Can you be in a
No.
mental spot where no?
That's
I
hard.
don't think any of them can do that. I think on a team is the closest they can come to that mindset. But yeah, hopefully Sydney Wells is coming. I did speak with her just briefly over text a couple weeks ago. So unless things have drastically changed, I'm really hopeful she's coming.
Jesus, you're up.
Hey, so this is actually my second question. On Hiller, he did the before and after on Hinshaw. And if you already spoke on this, I apologize, but what's your thoughts on that? Where he was going from this is a safe event, the water temperature is not a big deal, to after when he's talking about how it should have been red flags all over the place.
All right, thank you. We'll answer that. Thank you. John, you want to take that? Go ahead, John Young. Oh, shit. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll get to that question. I will not let you guys off. Argentina. Go ahead. Do you speak English?
Yes, I do.
I love you. I love you. My favorite kind of caller.
Yeah. Just a thought. I was thinking on all of this. You know, the continue the fitness, wellness, fitness continue to teach you on the level one.
Yes.
Where you put on the one side, say example, your body fat percentage. If it's over 30%, it goes on your fitness, around 20 your wellness, 10 or less on the fitness side. But if you get way too lean, you're already all the way over to the sickness, right on the other side. That's not good for you. So I was wondering, where is the line of an athlete, a person, to be so fit that fitness will get you sick? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a topic that Greg's addressed, and it's a topic on Coffee Pods and Wads today with Pedro Down Pepper addressed, that basically after the games, sickness set in, and I think it's pretty common with a lot of athletes. Right after the games, they get sick. It's a great question. He's basically, if I could repeat your question, you're basically saying, can you get so fit that your fucking immune system is compromised and you're actually more susceptible to sickness, like we see with the Tour de France athletes and whatnot? Like, can you be so far out on the edge that you're more susceptible to sickness? Is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly that. Because I thinking about what happened to Lazarus, and we still don't know all the details. How fit can he be and push so hard that he will pass some red line? You know, think about an engine when you hit the pedal all the way down and it's just your engines go on, and then it blows.
We saw that happen to Taylor Self too in the quarterfinals. Yeah, that's in every sport, right, JR? You want to talk about that? That's in every sport. Like, rollerblading's fun until you do stunt rollerblading, and then all of a sudden your life's on the line.
Right. Yeah, I think just generally professional athletes are not the healthiest people in the world, and I would say that for 99% of all professional sports.
And that's the argument, by the way, I think along the lines to split the methodology from the sport. That's one of the elements of it, you know.
I think it's a great point to make when you're talking about the relationship and the perception of the fittest people in the world and the perception that they have.
Like, what compromises do you have
with the people in the affiliates? When they're looking up to them, how do they need to be looking up to them? Do they need to be looking up to them based on body composition, based on fitness, based on, Fran times? Like, how should they be an example that those people are looking to, or should they be at all?
I mean, caller, right? I mean, do you agree with this? If you have a 6-minute Fran time, you're a 1%er of the 1% fittest people on the planet, probably. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and yet in our community, 6-minute Fran time is just not respected. You're just a fucking Joe. So
yeah, I was thinking on the Friday night event on the run, the night run. when I was watching that, I was seeing those times, and it was super crazy, super fast. At least for me, that's super fast for the run. And some of the athletes that was finished on their heat, it was even less under 6 minutes, and they were seems like they were going so slow compared with the rest, and that's still crazy time fast. And I think that keep thinking of the same thing. How far can your fitness go to keep pushing? What's the limit? And I don't know.
Hey, thank you for calling, and that's one of the coolest things about this community and the games. That is definitely what we're doing. I mean, we're testing for the first time the maximum capacity of human potential. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
John Young. Any thoughts on Hinshaw's different perspectives on the water pre and post Lazar Jukic's death?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like he is just kind of trying to cover for his athletes a little bit. That's kind of my opinion about it.
So you think that's what it is? You don't think it was like a reevaluation, or he misspoke the first time, or he misspoke the second time? You think it's a...
Man, he sounded pretty darn confident, if you want to call that a misspeaking thing. Like he acted like it was ridiculous
for why Adler pulled out.
Yeah. I think he's just kind of trying to cover for his athletes. That's how I feel about it. I don't feel
that's a fair assessment.
I don't think it was. I mean, and I can't speak for him. Maybe he did misspeak, but I think he's just trying to cover for his athletes.
JR, do you have any thoughts on the subject? Basically, on one hand, he's saying that he basically, I'm in a nutshell, he's saying on one hand, hey, before the event, I don't want to hear anyone's talk about the water being too hot, and he does an eye roll. And then post event, he's like, man, the fucking water was ridiculously hot. It's fucking absurd that they did it. Oh, I don't want to play it. Breaks my heart.
And and the part, let's let JR go. I guess
you go, dude. Go.
The part, I don't even have a problem with him going back and forth. But like the part where he goes, Adler knows his paces through and through. He did 5:55 as an interval on a mile, or 4:56. He said he ran a mile 4:56 just doing intervals. Well, Ricky, and he said that's just how fast his pace. He didn't blow up at all. People who thought he blew up are retarded. That's basically what he said. And I literally was downstairs with the athletes after the event, and Adler was proud of his run. He was talking about his run. He was like, I can confidently say I'm the fastest guy. And then I swam a 22-minute 800 meter. And he literally just said, I just blew up in the water. I was done. The exact opposite of what Chris said. And maybe Adler misspoke, or I heard him wrong, but I was.
This is after Lazar. Lazar passed away, and you were
6 feet from him.
And you heard him talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and if you really think about it, let's just use context clues. Okay, he says 4:56 for a mile on just intervals. Well, Ricky ran a 4:55 mile easily. Could have ran 4:40s if he wanted to. He's hyping up the crowd on the last 100 meters. Jeff was distancing Ricky. Ricky was like, this pace is too fast. He was distancing him on the 3.5 mile.
You mean Jeff was?
Yes, Jeff was distancing Ricky, who could have ran 4:40s in the mile if he was trying to go all out. So I don't think that's just. I do think he ran too fast, and I think he just blew up a little bit in the water, and that's okay. And if he didn't say how happy he was about his run, he was proud that he was the fastest guy. He's like, I'm confident that I'm the fastest guy. There ain't nobody faster than me in running. You would not be proud of that or like outspoken about that if you didn't have a reason that you blew up in the water. You know what I mean?
Now all of a sudden the story is the water was too hot and he almost drowned.
Right.
That's the story? Oh yeah.
And I just think that's the reason why I think I don't believe what Chris is saying in that moment. And maybe I'm hearing it wrong. I'm open to that. But these are what I'm just telling you what I have heard and the information that I know. from where I was at during the games. And it just makes me think he's just covering for his athletes. I find that part the most interesting, that he said Adler was so comfortable in his pace running a 5:55, 3.5 miles.
Right. Thoughts, JR, on that video, the juxtaposition of those two videos and what seemed to be, or what not seemed to be, what are different messages conveying about the event pre and post?
Well, I think it's just important to acknowledge that for Chris to come on before the games and be so outspoken and confident with his opinion of it, and then to go on another show right after the fact is, I mean, for lack of a better word, kind of courageous in my mind, because I think I would be a prisoner of the moment, like I think might have happened to him and what just happened, where if there's something about Chris that I think we would all agree is that he's a passionate guy. I don't know anyone that's more passionate about this stuff than him.
Right.
And you can tell that it really, like, emotionally he's invested in it. And always.
John's pretty passionate. John, you're pretty passionate. I put you up there with him.
Sure. But I think Chris is right there. So was it a was it a misspeak? Maybe. Was it just, I can't believe this happened. There has to be a reason. Oh, that's it. That's the reason. Not even thinking about maybe what was said.
And just looking for an explanation. Like, didn't even remember what he said 2 days ago.
Hey, they have me on here because I'm the expert about this stuff. And if I'm the expert about this stuff, I need to give them a reasonable explanation. Yeah, I don't. That's really all I feel about it.
I want to be very clear that the athletes were all given a decision. They were allowed to. The way I heard the story is after the event, Dave went out there, gathered all the athletes together. He gave them from what I'm hearing from the athletes, is he gave them a plan of what he would like to do moving forward. That it got very, very tense with people telling each other to shut up and athletes weighing in, and athletes started basically fighting with each other, like very aggressively, verbally. Dave calmed everyone down. He said, well, let's make some decisions. They tried to make decisions for an hour. They couldn't. So then what they did is he said, hey, since we all can't talk, all 200 of us, why don't you guys pick teams that represent your groups? We'll break you off into teams and then send your representatives and we'll discuss it. Then they did a vote through an email. And basically the story is a very typical story. There was a vocal minority that was pushing to not do the games, or some version of the games that wasn't the games. And the silent majority wanted to do it, but they didn't want to speak up because of the people telling them to shut the fuck up. And but even if the games would go on, we know that still everyone has a choice. It's not a fucking slave trade. And we know Jeffrey Adler pulled out. We know that Laura Horvat pulled out with mental injuries. And so I see stuff being posted on the internet, which coming from Jeff Adler's camp. Carolyn Lambre says this, and I either find these as biased or disingenuous. This post, you might not agree with me. That's okay. You might not agree or understand why athletes choose to continue or not. That's okay. I'm on board. The point is simply to show that they could have been another way. And so those options, there were lots of ways presented, and the athletes were given control of that. But none seem to have been considered since no time was given to explore. Now, this is just a blatant lie. The time is somewhere between 3 and 5 hours that the athletes were given, but even more so than that, because it wasn't 5 hours. They had another 5. The incident occurred at the lake. Then they had 5 hours, and then they met late that night to discuss what they were going to do the next day. And let's not forget, there's 30,000 people waiting also for these 200 people to decide. So this is either disingenuous, cognitive dissonance, or just an outright fucking lie. And then to put a cap on it, as Dave said himself in his day in review on August 9th, he wanted the competition to resume, as if that's like, that's a bizarre place to put that, as if there's some implication there. Like that you said a lie, but none seem to have been considered since no time was given to explore. Absolute, just fucking horseshit. No fucking tolerance for that. You are now exempt from any leadership or fucking integrity or fucking authenticity in what you're saying. It's just bullshit. Well, if you could have said not enough time was given, But you said since no time was given. That's a fucking lie. Fergie, 300K will throw one hell of a wedding, James Sprague.
Morning Chalk Up just posted a video of Dawnfall. I think this is pretty new. Do you want me to pull it up?
Please. Sydney leaked the workouts. Oh, you mean oh God, tomorrow's fights are going to be absolutely fucking incredible on the UFC. Hold on, let me scroll down here. Is that oh, that's on their Instagram?
Yep.
Okay. Is that on YouTube?
I haven't looked at YouTube, but this is just what somebody tagged me in on.
Matt Souza, also Dave was the only one from, by the way, although I have no fucking love for Morning Chalk Up at all. I think they're a complete shit rag. The only thing worse than them is more worse than them, much worser, worsest.
Worse.
Thank you. Is Barbend. What a fucking complete fucking disaster Emily Beers reporting is. But the guys there at the games from Morning Chalk Up like were the coolest dudes. Like the dude I hung out with from Morning Chalk Up was cool as shit. Great guy. Matt Souza, I forget his name. Matt Souza, also Dave was the only one from CrossFit Leadership that was down in the athlete warm-up area, available, shaking hands, speaking to athletes. The rest of the executives hit up in a box all weekend. That's a little harsh, but Dave was everywhere. For anyone to suggest that he was everywhere, available for the athletes to mad dog them, vent their frustrations. He was fucking everywhere. That's correct. Okay. Action.
Humor and his love for this community. We know there is nothing we can say that can ease the pain and sadness, but we are resolved to make sure we do what is required to understand what happened, honor Lazar's legacy, and make I'd like to share a brief update on the steps we've taken since Lazar's tragic death. We know that so many are still in a state of shock. Many members of our team knew Lazar quite well, and our entire team is devastated. Our hearts ache for his family, for his friends, and the other people who loved him. In the days since the tragedy, so many have shared stories of what Lazar meant to them, his kindness, his spirit, his sense of humor, and his love for this community. We know there is nothing we can say that can ease the pain and sadness, but we are resolved to make sure we do what is required to understand what happened, honor Lazar's legacy, and make I'd like to share steps we are taking. We know that many of you are still dealing with the trauma of Lazar's death. We circulated some mental health guidance earlier this week and have been working with outside organizations, including the CrossFit Medical Society, to connect people to additional support resources. We've also taken additional steps in our investigation. CrossFit remains committed to conducting a full investigation. Peter Edge, the former Executive Associate Director of Homeland Security Investigations, will coordinate the investigation. Mr. Edge and his investigative team have over 30 years of state and federal law enforcement experience and are highly qualified in investigations and security issues. His biography is attached to this email for your review. CrossFit will fully cooperate with the investigation team. Over the past week, we've heard from many of you directly and on social media. It's clear that many of you have feedback you'd like to share about your personal experiences and the steps necessary for the future of our sport. Some have shared these views publicly, and I'm also spending as much time as possible in direct conversations with athletes, coaches, and other members of the community to listen to everyone's perspective to inform the steps we must take. I've had a conversation with a number of you this week. Thank you. I have additional calls scheduled over the coming days. If I haven't spoken with you yet and you're interested in sharing your perspective, please feel free to respond to this email and I will follow up to connect. I will do my best to talk to as many of you as I can, as quickly as I can. I recognize that we have a responsibility to move quickly and decisively. I also recognize that we have from many of you, that we have a responsibility to listen and gather the facts to ensure we make the right and necessary decisions. I want you to know that I remain committed to the steps necessary to provide for the safety of our athletes and the future of our sport. Thank you.
Don't believe anything you read on Barbend, by the way. Nothing. It's just fucking horse shit. It truly is horse shit. It's like it's just missing so much context and details, and it's such trash when it comes to CrossFit stuff. It always has been. I'm disgusted by them. KF, so I got muted asking questions about Dave. I have no idea. Talk to one of the Pat Lang says all sorts of fucking wild shit, and we never mute him. So, and you've been a douchebag since you got here a couple days ago. So probably you did get muted. Probably pushing the limits. Hope you did get muted. I think I kicked you out a couple days ago. Okay. Thoughts on that? Caleb.
You really want an answer?
No.
Okay,
You be good. You be good.
All right,
You
all
fucking
right.
crazy fucking military dude's gonna say
My
something
bad.
crazy.
Sorry.
But I'm looking at Peter Edge, acting deputy director of immigration and customs enforcement. He was worked under President Trump, so I guess that's good. I guess that's good. God, I have no respect for Homeland Security these days. John, so basically, the first of all, I want to say this. If you're bothering Don Fall right now for a fucking phone call, you better be saying some important shit. Like, he doesn't need to hear any complaining. I would love to be on those fucking phone calls with a fucking dog collar electrocution ring around everyone's balls who's talking to him. When you say something stupid to him and waste his time, I can fucking shock you. You know he's hearing just some of the dumbest shit. Like, the guy's under fucking crazy fucking stress right now. I hope people aren't saying crazy shit. Kev, sorry, I thought this was a free speech kind of podcast. No, you're wrong. Think of this as my living room, dude. Free speech. This is my living room. If what you say in here I don't like, I'm afraid my mom's gonna hear you say something stupid. I'm kicking you out. You take a shit in the fucking living room, you're fucking out. Have fucking John Young come over and throw you out over the fence.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Don, his talk. I just took it as he's appeasing the ding dongs out there that feel like they have to hear from HQ. No dig at Don, but I didn't hear anything. Like, hey, we're doing an investigation. Here's our guy, Peter, which is cool. Peace out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just giving everybody an update. I do think he, talked for 3 minutes when he could have said the same stuff in 30 seconds. But yeah, I think he's just updating everybody. This is what we're doing. We're listening. And yeah.
Nick Fridge, free speech graffiti on the Washington Monument. Yeah. J.R. Howell, thoughts on Don's message?
No, just that I do think it's good that he's providing names, that he's providing like some background, that he's letting everyone know that the investigation is like started and going, and I think that's what everyone wants to know.
Fair enough. All right. So what did we learn today? We learned that Crash Crucible Qualifier has started. I should take notes here. And it ends Monday. Sign up fucking now. And if you're a badass, just ask JR if you can go.
JR, can I go?
It depends on the level of that BA, as John says. Yeah, because we're pretty tight right now with invited athletes. You got to be really BA.
More BA than me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me ask you. Could Daisy McDonald come?
Oh, she's not BA enough, Seva.
I would. Dude, well, listen, it just registered that she's an Australian. Like, if she wanted to come, I'd figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. Is Shelby Neal going to be there? One of my favorites. One of my new favorites.
I haven't talked to Shelby. I did. I want to say like I commented on one of her stories right before the games, just like trying to gas her up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you could always come back.
Respect for gassing her up.
Like, you could always come back after the games and come repeat. And she's like, oh yeah, I know. We'll have to see how I'm feeling after and stuff. But I feel like she's moved on. She's she cut her teeth a little bit and now she's good. But at the games this past year, James Sprague, champ, Jason Hopper, Austin Hatfield, Jack Rosema, Luke Parker, Caroline Stanley, Shelby Neal.
Luke Parker's going to be
all competed at the games who have been at Crash and Podium or finished fourth.
Oh, poor Jamie.
Which is pretty cool. So Sign up for the
Will Hopper
qualifier.
be? Will
Yeah.
Hopper be at Crash?
I'm sure he'll be around hanging out, but
Not
no,
competing.
I don't think he's not going to compete.
Oh, great question. Is Trista Smith competing?
I reached out to Trista, and I don't think she ever even saw the DM. Honestly,
Her dad did though. Okay, her dad still checks her DMs. Make that a note, people. You jackasses, you dirtbags. So we learned Crash Crucible's going up and at him. Oh, we learned that JR does nothing for Hopper's performance except provide sweat towels for him when he works out. JR's just
precisely
inconsequential in Hopper's career. I do want to say this. Will Morad and Jake Marconi were an absolute fucking pleasure to deal with all weekend. I would have a threesome with those fucking guys.
Whoa.
They're cool people.
They were so
they're,
cool. They are so freaking cool.
Seeing Jake in person,
Yeah.
coach Jason and Brooke was delightful and made me really feel good about like writing down some workouts and walking away and being like, all right, I got to go pick up the kids. Like he's the real deal when it comes to like in person coaching, managing the athletes, talking to them after the workout. Like, yeah, he's just, it was really, really fun for me because I've never been around two athletes that high level at the same time, but I've also never been around their coach. And like in warm-up areas and stuff at the games or at semifinals, it's completely different than just like, hey, they're in my gym, they're coming over to my house to hang out and eat. Like I get to just kind of observe. It was really impressive.
I got to hang
cool.
I got to hang out with Brooke Wells a bit too. And I hadn't hung out with her in years. And that was a fucking delight. And I'm gonna tell you, she was cool as shit. Like and I apologized. I guess when her book came out, I had made some comment like, God, I hope there's some good sex in it. And I guess her dad heard it. And her dad was like, fuck this dude. And so I told her that, and she blushed a little bit. She's like, yeah, he got kind of disgusted by you. And so I was like, please tell him I'm sorry. But she was a fucking consummate professional back there, very sweet, very real. She was just a goofy good little girl last time I was around her, and she was like just a straight powerhouse, cool woman, relaxed there. And I know you got that to hang with her also. Do you want to say something about that? Hanging with her? Did you get that same vibe?
No, yeah. I mean, the list is not very long for people who have stayed in the guest house for an extended period of time. Our friend Caleb Beaver and his wife are two of the people on that list.
Oh, Brooke stayed there at the guest house?
Yeah, I mean, she came and stayed for the video that Will shot for HWPO for like the training camp, and then I told Jason, I was like, dude, you need to keep her around as much as possible. You are so much cooler to be around when she's here. You clean up after yourself immediately after the workout.
No way.
Wow, so he's not a scumbag when
she was a great influence on him in every way, like just energy and workouts.
That's
but
funny.
yeah, so I basically was like, hey, if you want to come back and train again, you can just stay at the house. And I would never invite someone to stay around my kids that I didn't really like. And she asked about my kids by name like 2 days ago. Like she's awesome. I'm a big fan. I hope she doesn't retire.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too. Jesus, third call today. Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, I feel like a part of the show. Appreciate that. But the question I've had before, what I think we are with human potential in CrossFit. You look at baseball and no one able to go over 100, 405 for a fastball, and that's a one. Are we already at that 99% where to do everything is maxed out already? Now it's just a matter of who's training the best, I guess.
He's asking how close are we to the to the glass ceiling. Like he says, are we 99% capacity at this point?
I think Matt was at 99% capacity. I didn't know nobody's been there except him. And I think the sport will evolve to where there are more like that. And then a little bit, I think people can get better than Matt Fraser, but that's not right now.
How about Tia?
Or Tia. Like you can put those two together, Tia on the women's side, Matt on the men's side. I mean, Tia, you see it right now. Like no woman's close to Tia. It just doesn't matter. The programming doesn't matter. But I think the further the sport evolves, the more people evolve, the longer we have the CrossFit Games. I think Tia and Matt are like the 99%. And I think we'll see more people that reach that level. And then there's not much more better after that. I do think there can be better, but like we're talking,
what if Tia and Matt were both 2 inches taller and 3 pounds heavier? 3 for Tia, 6 heavier. 3 for Tia, 6 for Matt. I mean, that's the thing too. They don't seem to have. It seems like a bigger version of them could do significantly better to me. I mean, I know it's crazy to say that, but those are both small athletes.
Yeah, but Matt made his height work for him though. Like
I agree.
He ran a 5-minute mile, and then he was as strong as all the big guys. It's good to be short in CrossFit if your body's not in the way, right? Like Colton has all of his home runs for a reason, but his body is the reason he takes bottom finishes sometimes. Matt was still third in those events.
Right.
Right. I think it's harder for somebody like Jason or Dallin to reach that level of where handstand push-up or like 50 strict handstand push-ups, they're still third place. Or like a small guy event, they can still get third place. I think it's harder for those bodies to get to that level than small bodies to do the things that big guys do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's harder for that to reach that type of a level. Not the fittest in the world right now, not where we are right now, but to reach the Matt Fraser level. I think it's harder for a big guy to fill the holes that well, where they're still better than everybody else. All the little guys, they beat the little guys in their specialty. I think it's harder for them to do that than what Matt did to the bigger guys. Or Tia, right? Tia. When I say Matt, I mean Tia as well, right?
J.R. Howell had no influence on Jason Hopper. Crash Crucible has started. Tomorrow's Kill Taylor, the best show on the internet, and it starts at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sucks for us on the West Coast. My sister just texted me and said, "Hi, Caleb."
Hi.
Anything else we learned today?
Open door.
Love you guys.
Actually work.
What? Say that again, Caleb.
I said the open door policy isn't actually an open door policy.
Which open door policy?
Don Fall's open door policy.
Oh yeah, leave Don alone. Come on, leave fucking Don alone. Leave. No, not you. No, not you. I mean other people. I'm telling you, it's not an open door policy. Leave fucking Don alone. No, you're fine. I like what you're doing. All right. Oh, look at Pat Lang. This KF guy makes me look good. Yeah. Okay. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.